A very good afternoon. Thank you for joining us on Newsroom series. I'm Dominic Iwiwu. Today we will be focusing on the southeastern region. But before we get into most of the stories coming from there, let's take a look at our top stories at this hour. The Rivers State Governor Simini Alai Fubara has announced the termination of a long-standing practice that allowed retired permanent secretaries in the state civil service to continue working on contract after their official retirement. This practice is often criticized for hindering career progression among lower-level workers and seen as a means for politicians to reward loyalists. The governor made the comments at the swearing-in ceremony of 6 new permanent secretaries at the Government House in Port Harcourt today. Governor Fubara expressed the need to allow new people take over these roles. The police in Benue State has confirmed the kidnapping of about 20 medical students who were on their way to Enugu State, passing through Otukpo local government area in Benue State. The students were said to be traveling in a convoy of 2 buses and were coming from the northern part of the country when they ran into the ambush on Thursday evening at about 5:30 p.m. Police Public Relations Officer for Benue Command, Superintendent of Police Seriuse Anene, confirmed this to journalists, noting that the victims were en route to Enugu for a program when they ran into the kidnappers around Otukpo. We kick off in Anambra State, where the federal government has resolved to help farmers boost their 2024 agricultural production through the provision of fertilizers. Farmers are expecting high yields as bags of fertilizers have been distributed to them through the senator representing Anambra Central Senatorial Zone on the platform of the Labour Party, Senator Victor Ume. Similarly, the Minister of Women Affairs, Mrs. Uju Kennedy Ohanyene, has also distributed to women farmers of the APC in Anambra State bags of fertilizers in order to support their production this year, in line with the renewed hope agenda of the present administration.
Empowering farmers with inputs to boost productivity is a major way to mitigate hunger through agriculture. And this is one of the reasons for this gathering here at Nise, Oka South local government area of Anambra State. The senator representing Anambra Central Senatorial Zone on the platform of the Labour Party, Senator Victor Ume, is here to distribute bags of fertilizer to farmers in his zone. First, he ensures the fertilizers donated by the federal government are complete, as he explains that the distribution process will cover the 58 communities in Anambra Central.
I want to hand over the whole of this fertilizer to those who will hand it over to you. You know the quantity you get per community now. Yeah. So the fertilizers are here in place. Yeah. Use it well. And if you go to your community now, you know those who are into farming. You call them and give them the fertilizer. You'll be surprised at the multiply effect when the harvesting time comes.
Addressing the farmers in his zone, the senator harps on the essence of farming.
We're the only people who can feed ourselves. If we cultivate food, yam, cocoyam, plantain, and other food crops, we'll be in a position to feed ourselves. So we are very challenged now. Everybody in Nigeria should take to farming.
The distribution begins as beneficiaries appreciate the gesture.
Fertilizer normally it will boost our crop. It will boost our harvest, and it will help us a lot.
Elsewhere, the Minister for Women Affairs, Mrs. Uju Kennedy Ohanyene, distributes over 1,000 bags of fertilizer to Anambra APC women farmers. The minister, who was represented at the event, said it's part of the renewed hope agenda of the present administration, ensuring that women are encouraged to work for a bountiful harvest.
On behalf of the Honorable Minister for Women Affairs, I, Chief Barrister Mike Ikebunam, do hereby hand over this bags of fertilizer and the rice and sewing machine to the zonal woman leader of the great party APC in Anambra State.
Highlighting the important role women play in nation building during the event, a grassroots leader under the APC, under the All Progressives Congress, Mr. John Bosco Onunkwo, a staunch supporter of women empowerment, says a sense of inclusion should be given to women through agriculture, skills acquisition, and other relevant roles.
The empowerment of women is not merely an option, it is an imperative. Women form the backbone of our societies, and their contributions are essential to the economic, social, and cultural fabric of our nation. However, despite their undeniable potential, many women continue to face barriers that prevent them from reaching their full potential. This is where our Women Empowerment Scheme comes in.
The APC women appreciate the gesture as the pledge to use the resources well to help improve food security.
Still in Anambra State, the Waste Management Authority, ASWAMA, has held the Anambra Plastic Waste Recycling Stakeholders Summit in Awka, the Anambra State capital. According to the Commissioner for Environment, Mr. Felix Odimegu, who represented the governor, the summit highlights the shared commitment to creating a cleaner, greener, and more sustainable Anambra State through strategic partnerships and innovative waste management solutions. An estimated 32 million tons of plastic waste are generated annually in Nigeria, and research says it takes over 500 years for plastic waste to decompose. The Anambra State Waste Management Agency has kicked off conversations in collaboration with the United States Agency for International Development and private sector players through the Nigeria Plastic Solutions activities on the need to find ways to manage plastic waste for a better, cleaner, and sustainable environment.
This initiative aims to recover about 100,000 tons of plastic waste, create about 5,000 indirect jobs, strengthen the recycling value chain, and improve waste management across the state.
With only 12% of plastic waste being recycled in the country, major stakeholders prefer solutions.
Over the next 2 years, the Nigerian plastic solution activity will target the recycling of about 9,000 metric tons of plastic waste from Anambra and Lagos states.
In some cases, you need to do recycling. In some cases, you need to compost what you have. In some cases, they end up in landfills. In some cases, you are dealing with solid waste. In some cases, you are dealing with biomedical waste.
Attention is also given to issues of strategic partnerships as well as policy and regulations.
Capacity building is important. Most of us will go to read up to PhD in a discipline. But when you engage in a work or in a job, you need to be refreshing yourself to understand the current trends in your own area.
Conflict between ASWAMA and the local government, because in some areas, the law assigns the same role to the two bodies. So that will create conflict. That's a challenge for the law. And I have it here. Then, improper assignment of functions, where we have street cleaning, assigning street cleaning to the ASWAMA and to local government. It's not proper. Street cleaning should rather belong to local government.
While the chairman of the Anambra State Waste Management Agency aligns with the idea of the Environment Ministry and that of Budget and Planning, giving the agency the needed support, the representative of the community-based board in ASWAMA suggests more of grassroots sensitization.
We must come together with the ministry and the authority to chart a way that this must be done properly.
What we are saying is that rather than doing city stuff, take the message, take the engagement to the communities. They bear the brunt.
This stakeholders meeting exemplifies the commitment of ASWAMA and the strategic partners to not only target improved plastic waste management processes, but also a move towards environmental sustainability and economic development of Anambra State in particular and Nigeria as a whole. In neighboring Enugu State, the government has announced its plans to begin the implementation of anti-noise pollution policy in the state in the next 90 days. Speaking during a stakeholders town hall meeting in Enugu with residents, business owners and religious organizations, The chairman of the agency, Mr. Uche Anya, says the move has become necessary following the incessant noise pollution in some residential areas by businesses that may have gotten approval from the previous administration to operate. According to Mr. Uche Anya, the state is not interested in bringing down structures, but is encouraging owners of businesses, recreational centers, and churches within residential areas to soundproof their property and equally make provision for parking instead of obstructing traffic on the roads on or before November 15, 2024.
We unanimously agreed that this stakeholders' engagement is very timely. We also agreed that we will not allow open bars, open air nightclubs in residential areas. We also agree that where such are existing, that we should quickly ask them to implement acoustics or soundproof. And I think that we will continue to do this engagement, talking and negotiating for another 90 days. So effective from the 15th day of November 2024, we shall commence enforcing, implementing zero noise policy in Enugu.
The Abia State Governor, Dr. Alex Oti, has injected 6 new commissioners into his cabinet with a charge to the appointees to uphold teamwork and administrative excellence. The newly appointed commissioners include David Kalu, Dr. Uwaoma Ukandu, Dr. Quinn Achukwa, Ubochi Goodluck Chinedu, and Professor Ogbonnaya Uche. Speaking at the swearing-in ceremony held at the banquet hall of the Government House in Umuahia, Dr. Oti reiterated his administration's aversion to corruption, infighting, and other unwholesome activities capable of detracting them from discharging their jobs diligently. While congratulating the new appointees, the Abia State Governor says there shall be a minor restructuring of ministries in the state soon.
We are committed to delivering on all our promises to our people. It will be necessary to also tell you in advance that you are not going to find things very easy as we begin the important reforms that will turn around the institutional capacity of your individual ministries. To further strengthen the governance architecture, there shall be a minor restructuring of the ministries to support the actualization of our administrative objectives and further empower the commissioners to function in their areas of strength. Again, it bears repeating that this administration has zero tolerance, and I say zero tolerance for all forms of corruption, abuse of processes, and any act or conduct that is capable of bringing the government to disrepute. As recent events have demonstrated, we are not afraid to wield the big stick, and when the occasion calls for it, we shall not hesitate to do what needs to be done, no matter whose ox is God.
You're watching Newsroom series on Channels Television. Still ahead, we'll bring you updates on what's happening in Ebonyi State and Abia State as the state government releases some financial aid to individuals. Stay with us. Welcome back. The Ebonyi State government has released the sum of 450 million naira as counterparts funds for a World Bank development-assisted program called Nigeria Women Project in the state. This was disclosed during the flag-off of the Ebonyi Women August meeting, where 195 women and youths were empowered in various skill acquisition programs in Abakaliki, the state's capital. A similar meeting took place in Abia State, organized to foster unity, empowerment, and strengthen family values. The Abia State Governor, Alex Oti, reiterates the need for more involvement in agriculture to improve food security and stamp out hunger.
Ebonyi women within and outside the state gather at the Ecumenical Center in Abakaliki, the state capital, for the commencement of the 2024 Ebonyi Women's August meeting, centered around the theme, A Wise Woman Builds a Home. The State Commissioner for Women Affairs and Social Development, Felicia Nwakuma, emphasizes the importance of women's roles as home builders as she announces the release of 450 million naira as counterpart funding for the World Bank Nigerian Women Project.
This 2024 August meeting, let us look inward, let us talk to ourselves and ensure that we support this administration, and at the end of the day, more laurels will come to women. And like I said, I will always continue to thank His Excellency. He has released the sum of 450 million naira, which is a counterpart fund for a new project called Nigerian for Women Project. The money is in the account. We are just waiting for a startup. Anything for the women, this administration will always do.
Another driving force of this meeting is to foster unity, empowerment, and strengthening of family values among the women, as over 195 women and youths are empowered through various skills.
We play an essential role in shaping societies, leading with compassion, wisdom, and determination. This is because we are the spine and pillars of our home. We are the ones who train our children, make meals and organize chores, secure peace in our homes, and go miles in contributing meaningful to governance and society development.
In Abia State, the Governor, Alex Oti, is reiterating the need for Nigerians to get more involved in agricultural production to improve food security and stamp out hunger. He made the comment at an audience of the 2024 Abia Women August Delegate Conference in Umuahia, attended by his wife, Priscilla, and other dignitaries.
We have continued to improve the business atmosphere in the state through strategic investments in the restoration of public infrastructure, especially roads. From Aba to Umuahia and across the 17 local government areas, there is no doubt that the state government is doing so much to make it easy to move people and goods from one part of the state to another.
Earlier in her remarks, Mrs. Oti says that the present administration in the state is gender sensitive and supporting women on all fronts.
Thankfully, His Excellency promised that those who are able to effectively manage their funds will get more. I am also aware that many more are making inquiries on how to benefit from the state cooperative support scheme. My recommendation to you all is to go to your community and register with the relevant local cooperative or start your own so that you can qualify for consideration in subsequent batches.
Both state governments have promised to continue to prioritize women development to ensure they thrive in all areas of their lives.
The Imo State government has urged women in the state, especially mothers, to adhere strictly to the World Health Assembly recommendation of exclusive breastfeeding for 6 months, introduction of adequate complementary feeding from 6 months, and continued breastfeeding for 2 years or more for children. According to the Imo State Commissioner for Primary Health, Health Insurance and Social Services, Prosper Hoyaga, who was speaking in Owerri, the Imo State capital, during the flag-off of the 2024 World Breastfeeding Week, says the recommendations will help to reduce malnutrition and mortality among children below 5 years and ensure a better society with healthy children. Our Imo State correspondent, Eyitokbe Kutei, reports.
The Imo State government is bringing together mothers across the 27 local government areas of the state to mark the World Health Organization's awareness campaign on the importance of the mother's milk. And the theme for 2024 is Closing the Gap, Breastfeeding Support for All. The Executive Secretary of the Imo State Primary Health Care Development Agency, Maria Johannes Uzoma, speaks to nursing mothers on the nutritional values to their babies.
This year's World Breastfeeding Week is another opportunity for all mothers and expectant mothers in Imo State to appreciate exclusive breastfeeding and embrace it wholeheartedly because of its enormous benefits, which far outweigh non-exclusive breastfeeding.
The expectation is that breastfeeding will be exclusive within the first 2 years of a child's life.
Concerted action is therefore needed, especially in our states, in order to achieve the World Health Assembly target of at least 50% exclusive breastfeeding for 6 months by 2025. I therefore urge all breastfeeding mothers, especially all of you that have come here today and have demonstrated how you breastfeed your children, to follow the World Health Assembly recommendation of exclusive breastfeeding for 6 months, introduction of adequate complementary feeding from 6 months, and continued breastfeeding for 2 years or more. These are key interventions for improving child survival, growth, and development.
While expressing worries over the low exclusive breastfeeding and complementary feeding rates in Imo State, the wife of the Imo State Govt, Chioma Uzodimma, represented by the Commissioner for Women Affairs, Nkechi Ugu, asked mothers to take exclusive breastfeeding seriously to boost the child survival rate.
Breastfeeding is recognized as an important public health issue with enormous social and economic implications. It has been recognized by WHO and UNICEF as the gold standard for infant feeding. In our culture also, life is valued and children are cherished. Therefore, the culture has always been open to things that support life, and breastfeeding is one of them. However, our breastfeeding culture got eroded as a result of misplacement of priorities. But I am happy that events like this helps to restore what we lost through ignorance.
The World Health Assembly has set a global nutrition target for 2025, and one of the goals is to increase the rate of exclusive breastfeeding in the first 6 months of life to at least 50% by 2025, which it believes will address malnutrition and promote healthier lives. Eyitope Channels Television News.
Following the waves of agitation and protest across the country by youths under the Take It Back movement and End Bad Governance, a group from oil-producing communities of Imo State under the aegis of Ohaji Egbema Elites Forum is appealing to youths in the country to shun destructive protest, embrace patience, and engage in constructive dialogue with the government at all levels so that the voices and concerns of youths can be heard and addressed. Addressing a press conference in Owerri, the Imo State capital, the coordinator of the group, Francis Uzo, says even though the current economic reforms was introduced by President Bola Tinubu's administration, there's optimism that the policies will lay the foundation for a more prosperous and equitable Nigeria.
We are a vital forum from the oil-rich area of this state, Imo State. We have engaged relevant stakeholders. We really have gone round. In different levels, I tell you. We've discussed at length with our leaders, both political and economic, and we are confident that the policies of the President Bola Tinubu's administration will possibly go through and give us a good life at the end of the tunnel. The journey may be tough, but the destination is one of economic stability and growth for all. We appeal to you, especially our youth, to embrace patience during this transformative period. It is crucial that we engage constructively with the government at all levels. Dialogue, not discord, no, is the key to ensure that our voices are heard and our concerns addressed. Let us channel our energy into meaningful discussions that will help shape policies in ways that benefit us all.
The group is appealing to both the federal and state governments to find a lasting solution to the issue of oil bunkering in the region and reconsider granting amnesty early to restive youths in the Niger Delta region.
We also want to use this medium. It's very important to appeal to the states and the federal government to please tackle the menace of oil bunkering and oil theft in our region, which no doubt has been a cankerworm in the national economy, and we're all feeling it here. The forum would like to suggest that the government revisit the idea of granting amnesty to our restive youths and come up with lasting structure that will sustain the amnesty structure irrespectively of any addition in power.
And that's where we draw the curtains on this edition of Newsroom series. I'm Dominic Iwiwu. Stay safe.